Call the meeting to order. Stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Trustee Brewer.
Here.
Trustee Carter.
Here.
Trustee Grant.
Here.
Trustee Tate. Trustee Todd.
Here.
And Trustee Zupan.
Here.
Okay, item number 4. Are there any questions on the minutes from the May 8, 2018 regular board meeting? Are there any questions on the minutes? If none, I would accept the motion to approve the minutes for the regular board meeting of May 2018.
So
Second. It was moved by Trustee Grant, second by Trustee Carter. Any questions? Madam Clerk?
Trustee Brewer.
Yes.
Trustee Carter.
Yes.
Trustee Grant.
yes.
Trustee Tate. Trustee Todd. Yes. Trustee Zupan. No.
Motion is carried. Are there any questions on the minutes from June 13th, 2018? If none, I'll accept the motion to approve the minutes of June 13th, 2018.
Second.
It was moved by Trustee Todd, second by Trustee Brewer. Any questions?
Mr. Mayor, you're doing this a little bit differently. I thought we generally started anytime you use a motion, second, then comment. Now you're asking us for a comment.
I'm asking right ahead of time so we won't have to go back and forth with the corrections. We can do that, and that motion can include corrections when they're needed. So that's why I'm asking for the corrections ahead of time before we move.
Okay, so this is the new format.
Well, it's different.
Yeah.
I mean, it's different, but yeah, it's better than the other one, yes. There's a motion on the floor. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Trustee Carter.
Yes.
Trustee Grant. Trustee Tate. Trustee Todd. Yes. Trustee Zupan. No. Trustee Brewer.
Yes.
Motion is carried.
I'm sorry, Trustee Tate, I didn't hear what your vote was.
Use the mic.
Are there any corrections to the committee meeting minutes for October 2nd, 2018?
And that is for each of the place. Include Trustee Carter, the third.
And use the mic, please.
I'm sorry.
I was asking in terms of those voting present, that should be Trustee Carter and not Trustee Jones.
I have another change. On page 2, under the mayor's comments, the 4th bullet point, it should be Mr. Thompson, not Mr. Thomas.
His name is Thompson.
That's what your comments above indicate, yes.
Thompson.
His name is Tommy Thompson.
Any other corrections?
And I would make a motion that with those 2 changes, we approve these minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Trustee Zupan, second by Trustee Todd, that the minutes for October 2nd be approved with the necessary corrections that were stated. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Grant.
Yes.
Trustee Tate.
Yes.
Trustee Todd?
Yes.
Trustee Zupan?
Yes.
Trustee Brewer?
Yes.
Trustee Carter?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 5, public comment. All questions and comments must be directed to the mayor. Each speaker may comment on any matter pertaining to the business of Saukville. Each speaker is allowed one opportunity to speak for up to 3 minutes and may not engage in debate. And I will answer all questions or comments either at the end, or I will get back with you if it's something that I have to do research. Please state your name.
Judy Gaster. I'd like to take you back in history a little bit. Let's go back to Mr. Towers' time and then to David Hank's time. At those times, you had a platform that you stood on firmly. And we backed you with that. When David Hanks got J.W. Fairman, we were all extremely upset about it, and so were you. During your campaign, you indicated that J.W. Fairman would no longer be with us if you won the election. And that happened. And we were all screaming from Towers' time through David Hanks' time that we did not have the money to pay these people. And yet, you turned around and you got an HR lady that we don't need at this time because of the money. Now, things have gone out on the media, have gone all over the place. Residents are upset to the point of having a march and doing crazy things. And yet, it is your fault. Yours and yours alone. Because you made the decisions to not follow through on what you promised the people during your campaign time. You decided to get people and hire them without the board. You decided it was okay to refuse to answer trustees' questions and make them FOIA you. You don't want things out in the media. You don't want people talked about. The reason the people are being talked about, like the HR lady, the treasurer, things like that, is because of your decision to do with them as you would without talking to the people, without talking to the trustees. You cannot have it two ways. You've made these decisions on your own, and therefore you take the blame on your own. We don't like it. We're not going to tolerate it. We are going to continue with arguing with you, or however we have to do it, to make you understand. Maybe these people would be great if we could afford them. But at this point in time, it's exactly what you said through 2 campaigns. We cannot afford them. And now I don't know how you plan on paying them other than getting rid of people that you honestly need. People that honestly know what the hell they're doing when they come to work. But that doesn't make a difference to you. But it does to us.
Linda Washington, to piggyback off of what Ms. Castle was saying, when we did have Robert Fox, Chief Fox that came at that time, I remember you were a trustee at that time there, Burgess, and you said to him here with a packed room in front of everybody in a humiliating way, I don't mean no harm, sir, but are you willing to work for free? Because we can't pay you. And he said, yeah, I'll work for free until you all can pay me. That conversation went on and on and on because you all felt like the former mayors were making decisions to hire people in Sauk Village just did not have the money. All of a sudden, Joe Wizawazi and we have a personal secretary, all of these things that we're paying for now, where did all of this money all of a sudden come from? Also, I want to talk about the march as well. Residents have decided to march because of a lack of respect. because of a lack of you all seeing through and doing what you're supposed to do with the ordinance in regard to social media. They're still talking about residents on social media. They talk about me, but I really do not care because the people that's talking about me, number one, don't know me and don't mean absolutely nothing to me, period. So they have decided to go after me like they've done others in the past, but unlike others that don't want to come around, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be right here. And I've heard that at the march, they're going to have Cook County sheriffs out there, and they're going to have the state out there. If you all are marching in the street, we're going to have you all arrested and have employees participating in the march on this coming Saturday. You all are going to fire them from your job. I wish you all would take that same energy and call Cook County when we try to drive every day, and all of these teenagers are walking in the street and will not move so that we can drive and get to the places where we're trying to go. So for this administration to call Cook County Sheriff, the state, and all of these people and have them on standby, if we want to demonstrate and peacefully walk down a street to this village hall Saturday, which will happen if it's 1 or if it's 1,000, that march is going to go on. Whether you think I'm responsible or all the neighborhood watch, previous Black Club captains, along with the housing commissioners, along with the human relations commissioners, and everything else that you disbanded, we are all coming together to march because we feel greatly disrespected. I have been to your office in the last year and a half to see you over a dozen times, and you have never seen me, never talked to me, and your secretary documented it all, and she told me I'll let the mayor know, but you sit here and say, I'm here every day. You could have talked to me. Why do you come up here and showcase and showboat? I'm here every day, but when people come to see you, I'm a living witness. You refuse to see us. So, if I was you, I would get with the residents instead of fighting against the residents. I hope Cook County do show up this Saturday and try to arrest one person that's demonstrating peacefully, and you let these children walk these streets all day and night and do nothing about it.
Pat Couch. I've forgotten what the count is. I think the last,
You can run in, sorry.
I've lost count of how many weeks I've asked the same question over and over, and I guess it's not important to some people, but you know, we'd like to know how many of our fire hydrants are down, how many have been repaired and are back in working order. We've asked this question, I think it was 7 weeks, 8 weeks now, and I have yet to got any kind of answer from anybody, and I'd like to know why. We can't find out how many fire hydrants are not working. This is a safety issue for all the residents. It affects everyone.
Ms. Farmer, this is one well, I got kind of a two-part question. One kind of relates to something that happened this weekend or this Saturday, and a young lady parked her car pretty close to our mailbox. And postman, as I was looking out, he just rode right past, and he did inform me that many times someone parks close or blocks the mailbox and he's not going to deliver mail. And I've asked the people, you know, numerous times already to please not park too close to the mailbox. Just wanted to know if there's anything that can be done about that, and also is any way they can start maybe putting signs up not to block mailboxes or something like that?
Debbie Williams. I'd like to read something that was on Channel 2 News, or actually, I think it was 32, last night or today. Fake news. Intentionally putting out something trying to fool someone. Putting something out that spreads quickly to a vast audience. They actually said fake news became a real popular term around 2016. In Sauk Village, it started a lot sooner than that. And the problem is, it started on a page that bears our logo, that bears our community name, that bears the backdrops of our buildings and our events. It actually looks like it's an official page. This is not the first time residents have complained about this. And it's not the first mayor they've complained to. It's ridiculous. When people open the page Sauk Village, Illinois, they're not getting the true vision of Sauk Village. And they're not seeing and hearing exactly what Sauk Village is all about. It's political and it's personal, which is what your statement was last week and the week before. That we shouldn't have to come up here and speak about political and personal attacks, and we shouldn't be subject to them. As a person who was subjected to it for 4 years, slandered on that page, who actually came to you as a trustee and asked you to shut that page down because it was your people that were behind that page. And your answer was, there's nothing I can do about it. Well, Mr. Mayor, I'm just trying to give you as much respect as I can right now. And I'm imploring to you, please shut that page down. It is not the official page of Sauk Village. It does not represent all the residents of Sauk Village. It's political, it's personal, and it's wrong. And it's just about as fake as you want to be. So I am asking you, you do have the power to shut that page down. What people post in their own name is immaterial to me. Because I don't have to read it, I don't have to listen to it. But when I get people from outside the community asking me, what did I just see on Sauk Village, Illinois? Is it true? No. And most of the stuff that they put out there in the last 4 years was not true. It was inflammatory. It was meant for a specific person to damage the past administration. And it's exactly what it did. I think I'm through. I think I've made my point. I'm asking you one final time. Please take that page down. You work for all of us. And I'm very disappointed. Because I think if you ever finally got to that seat, as much as I've known you for almost 30 years, I figured whenever you finally got to that seat, because one day you would, that I would be able to work with you and respect you in that seat. And this will be the first step to see exactly if I can respect you and work with you. Keep your head down, Joe.
Maybe it's 11. I'm here again to talk about social media. As usual, I'll be here every week to talk about social media because obviously when you read that little statement a couple of weeks ago, you didn't read it ahead of time before you sat here and read it to the residents because you sounded ridiculous telling the residents we can't talk about social media, but yet you have your employees, your wife, and your daughter out on social media attacking the residents that put you in that seat. Now, I could go on social media, I could sit up here, or I could stand here and tell him what you said about him, her what you said about him, her what he said about her, what you all said about her, what he said about you, and let's not talk about Mary Clark, what you all said about her, because that would take about a week, which, you know, you all sit up here and say, act like you're all friends and stuff, but we know, or I know, that's not true, because you've all talked about each other. And you talked about the residents and your trustees. You had nicknames for some of your trustees that weren't your trustees back in the day. But anyway, I'm not going to lower myself to your standards because that's wrong. It was also said during your campaign that Joe had vendettas against people in Sauk Village. Recently, I was told that so do you. And obviously, it's showing because you have gotten rid of some of the people. You said you were going to get rid of all of them. You said you were going to get rid of the chief. He's still here. How much longer does he have? And also, people have been talking about that ridiculous you made with the truck company moving into 394. They asked who was the dummy that made that decision. You know, I have to tell them that we have someone without a high school diploma running the village. And that's all I have to say.
Sad. Really sad. Reports of officers, mayor's report.
No answers?
No answers.
Yeah, he's choked up.
answers, no mayor.
Who's talking?
On Friday, October 19th, there will be a second congressional hiring event at Lano Park District in Lansing. Address is 2550 178th Street, Lansing, from 9 to 12. Please join the Cook County Workforce Partnership to learn about interviews, adequate resume building, and practice interview skills. Again, please come out on Wednesday, October 17th, ahead of time, from 6 to 7:30. They will help you get ready for the next Friday hiring event. Again, come out October 17th. I have copies from 6 to 7:30 at the Calumet Public Library, 660 South Manistee Avenue in Calumet City. Sauk Village Trunk or Treat. Sauk Village Trunk or Treat will take place Saturday, October 27th, and the parade kicks off at Rick Over at 11:30. The trunk or treat will be at the community center from 12 to 2. There will be flyers on the back of the table, and we're looking for volunteers to come out and pass candy out and sign-up sheet on the back of the table. Veterans Day. We're having a Veterans Day celebration as we've done in the past. It'll be Monday, November 12th at 11 a.m., and there's a luncheon to be followed. And I'd like to remind the trustees also, if they haven't taken care of it, and talk to the treasurer about their receipts or whatever from IML, please do so as soon as possible. Thank you. Village Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a couple of things. At the last meeting, we talked about temporary passwords for the new telephone systems. This week, we will report that there will be a training, and I've asked the mayor if we could have at least one individual from each department to attend that training Friday morning at 8:30 in conference room A. If any of the trustees would want to come, I'm certain you would be invited as well. We do need to send something out, though, to our residents, letting them know that we've had a new system in, and we failed to do that. But we do have this new system, and just this week, some of us have learned how to actually use the telephone to make a call, but some of us still do not know how to answer the calls, and we definitely don't know how to receive our messages. So if anyone has attempted, Mr. Mayor, to call and we've been non-responsive, it is because we just basically lack the knowledge. Please remember November the 6th, that is Election Day. And there are a number of seats that are available, and we would just really hope that you would exercise your right as citizens to vote in that election, just as we hope that you will participate by voting in our municipal elections on April the 2nd. The minutes. Minutes have been added to the website, and I'm certain many of you are happy to know that because you've been asking. Up to this point, we have minutes through April on the website. Going forward, May will be on next week. The following week will be the June. Most of them have been approved, May and June. Where July is concerned, we have a smattering of. But then going forth, what you can expect, trustees and Mr. Mayor, is to have the most recent minutes in your possession as soon as possible, as well as some of the pickup minutes. So that way, you would have to your avail a remembrance of what took place at these wonderful meetings that we have. Is that okay? Another thing, Mr. Mayor, I would ask if you would consider asking the trustees to revisit the documentation germane to the general obligations bond that we voted on not too long ago. I received information today that makes it seem as if it's going to, it has been published, and it's likely that we may have to engage in giving people an opportunity to sign petitions, whether or not we would do that, and so that we could have a referendum for that. So prior to next Tuesday's committee meeting, I would really ask, seeing that you have the documentation, that you would just go back and read that entire packet, and let's talk about what and how we should proceed with that. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Village Engineer, Mr. Jim Carney.
Thank you, Mayor. Regarding the 221st Street Improvements Project, concrete work has been completed. Landscapers have placed topsoil with sodding work to commence soon, and paving is expected to occur this week. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Reports of Department, Finance Administration, Interim Director, Ms. Judith Sauk.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The Finance Department has been working on training our new staff. Our payroll and AP administrator has assumed many of the functions, but she's still learning the nuances of other functions. As part of this process, we've been relying very heavily on the Civic Help Desk support, and they've been very willing to help us as we chart a path forward. Our front office clerks have been learning how to take utility payments, take payments for special transactions, balance their drawers to the system, answer questions, solve problems, and take various applications for rentals or occupancies. All of this is going to take time to do it the right way, but we are creating procedures as we go, and we're taking the time to understand how what one person does affects what others are doing, and we're constantly communicating with each other to make sure that we're doing this the right way. As of approximately a week and a half ago, I got involved in the ADP conversion. We've been loading the information onto the ADP platform and checking the records. As of this week, we have 1/3 of the employee records checked, and we'll be working on the remaining after we complete this payroll run. I've also been working with ADP to develop a payroll interface to the general ledger. Because Civic was an integrated system, payroll was automatically interfaced with general ledger, and this is something that needs to be resolved in ADP, and I'm hopeful that we're going to find a solution. I've also been meeting with my colleagues to discuss how the system works and what options might work best for their departments. As I've said to all my colleagues, ADP processes payroll for 1 in every 4 workers in the U.S. Their system is flexible and can handle any situation we present them with. They've seen it all and built a system that can handle, any sort of these payroll structures. ADP does process payrolls for tens of thousands of municipalities, so we are not unique. They know our complexities as a municipality, and I'm confident that we can move forward successfully with them. Finally, I am in dialogue with Civic about upgrading our system. We're not going to start the upgrade, though, until the ADP conversion is completed. However, I did want to get us in the queue. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Further?
Any question?
You have a question?
Yes, Ms. Sutton, you indicated last week that you were going to give us some reports once we get those that accounting information. Do you have any idea of how, when we're going to get those, the statements or anything?
Yeah, I sent out the account balances at 5 o'clock today to all the trustees.
Okay, so that includes amalgamated and First Midwest and all the statements, the actual statements?
No, that includes the standard report that you were previously receiving that just showed the balance and what the changes were going to be associated with whatever approvals the trustees make in the meeting.
Okay, so in an effort to get copies of the actual statements from amalgamated and First Midwest and all those, how would I get those?
Yeah, that's easy to do. I have that.
Okay, I'll make a list for you.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you.
Fire Department, Captain Dennis Silver.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Over the period from September 20th through October 4th, Fire Department responded to 41 calls. We had 11 fire alarms, 2 vehicle accidents, 2 ambulance assists, 3 auto aid to our neighbors, 4 CO alarms, 2 odor investigations, 2 gas leaks, and 15 weather-related calls for power lines down, trees in the street, etc. Mr. Mayor and the trustees, this is Fire Prevention Week. Fire prevention personnel are visiting all the schools, and where appropriate, they will be taking the safety trailer with them. Open house at the fire station will be Saturday, October 14th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We will be showcasing all our equipment and tools. Residents are encouraged to tour the station and ask any questions they may have of the firefighters. That concludes my report. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Police Department Chief Rob Kowalski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, trustees. For the past 2 weeks, the police department received 486 calls for service and made 10 arrests. At the last board meeting, I reported on a hit-and-run accident which occurred on September 2nd in Candle Lake Village. Officers learned the accident was a hit-and-run vehicle to a pedestrian with the vehicle leaving the scene. Pedestrian was airlifted to Christ Hospital for emergency treatment. Prior to being airlifted, the victim provided information on the driver since the victim knew the driver. This matter was turned over to investigations who were able to secure a felony charge on the driver. With the warrant issued, the offender turned himself in on October 4th without incident. On October 8th, officers responded to a call of an armed robbery behind 21907 South Jeffrey. Witnesses did not report any injuries, but said 2 suspects were involved, with one of the subjects being identified by the victim. Weapons were displayed. Matter was turned over to investigations, no further at this time. But as always, any information is always welcome and can be reported to the police department, or you can email anonymously at saukvillagepd@gmail.com. Again, saukvillagepd@gmail.com. I'd like to thank everyone who joined us on the morning of October 3rd for our Coffee with a Cop. I think it was a great opportunity to talk about a variety of issues and enjoy a cup of coffee with those who attended. Again, the support from the community is very much appreciated, and I thank you. Our next DEA prescription drug take-back day will be Saturday, October 27th. The containers will be in the police department lobby between 7 and 3, so drop off the drugs before you give candy for trunk or treat. Police station renovation. After having several conversations with the mayor, I'll be coordinating the renovation efforts on the patrol side of the police station with Public Works Director Kevin Weller. I talk to Kevin quite frequently, and his crew's busy now, but when his team can get some time, we'll be working on sprucing up the police station. I'll be sure to provide updates as the work progresses. That's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Emergency Management Agency, Alan is not here. He has a report, and I'll read it as follows. It says, sorry for my absence tonight, so I'm really, as is assisting SMART at SMART in South Holland with the greater lights. In the time frame from September 24th through October 7th, 2018, EMA responded to 35 calls. 5 fire alarms, 2 CO alarms, 19 weather-related calls from Tuesday storm, wires down, trees on fire, sparking wires, trees on houses, fire alarms, trees blocking roadway, 2 wires down, 1 car fire, 1 brush fire, 2 gas leaks, 1 hazmat, 1 auto accident, and 1 transformer on fire. Once again, I would like to thank the residents of Sauk Village for their help during October 25th, 2018 storm that hit Sauk Village with pulling and moving tree branches and limbs from the roadways so that as the fire department and police department can respond to emergency calls coming in. Thank you. As a note here, October 11th, Sauk Village EMA is invited to attend the Park Forest Parade of Lights throughout there in town, and also they will be attending, he will be attending the monthly meeting held in Crestwood. This concludes the report. Public Works Director, Mr. Kevin Lowe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As reported before, a couple weeks ago, or a month ago now, we have some leaks in town still after all the repairs we've had going on 223rd. 217-24 Peterson is still open right now at this point. 1950 to 19th place was repaired today. 1731 to 23rd place is still open. We will be shifting back as soon as possible. At this point now, we had started a dig on 2514 Navajo. We are going to be inserting an easy valve at that location. This is a valve under pressure, so we don't have to do a boil order at this location. This will help and assist us in a repair at 221-688. This is a main replacement, and one of the T's has got to be replaced on the main. Second item, staff's been working on several emergencies located around 223rd Street project. The final ones, total we had about 12 different emergencies on that roadway during the road construction. All had to be worked on due to the concrete work. We couldn't put concrete in the curb lines with water leaking. The last two projects were the storm sewer at 2124 to 23rd Street. Came across storm sewer over there. The whole top was cracked out. We had to replace a section of pipe. And the final valve and pipe work at Cornell, which was starting the whole project, is completed. So all the work on there, water-wise, through the roads that we had to do are taken care of at this point. Small jobs, we're trying to do as many small jobs as possible. The village hall, police department, fire department, plumbing lights, HVAC systems, small leaks during rainstorms. We're keeping an eye on those on some of the older roofs. We also will start toward the fall a couple of construction projects. One is in the village hall here, and the other one is the chief leads to is the police department. We're still working on some final details, but we're getting close. Grass cutting in Sauk Village with the rain recently has perked up the grass. With the current weather event we had, we are definitely behind. This also during the weather event we had on the 25th knocked down a bunch of branches. So right now our part-timers and our full-timers are picking up all those branches still, chipping. So grass cutting is lacking a little bit. We will get back to it tomorrow. We'll start to cut and finish up on a few of the parks that hadn't gotten done yet. The regular branch pickup, as of the storm was over, it was 9:25, and we gave an extension to the 7th, so October 7th, for all storm branches to be put out. This is only storm branches. This is not whole trees. You can't clean your yard up. You can't start cutting your neighbor's yard or vacancies and any of that. It's just for storm branches. There's a lot out there still. The east side of town is completed, so no more can be put out on that side. We are starting on the north side tomorrow, and we will continue until completed. Let's see here. We also have concrete jobs that we've been working on. The more recent three were 224-348s, 2244-488s, and 221-49 Shirley. These are all curb replacements, roughly 66 linear feet. The contractor is aware of it. He is just sending a quote, and then we'll probably start the job within 2 weeks. The next item is generator work at our well houses. We have 2 generators. Both of the generators had to be maintenance this year, preventive maintenance and checked. As they went through them, they found one of the generators had a water pump issue they had to replace. The other generator had our display panel was faded out, could not be read, that had to be replaced, and a couple minor other little items. At this point, both generators are running and back online. We have one more item that we're addressing. We're going to keep an eye on the generator at this point, and we'll get back if we have to. Air stripper at the main station, stripper 2, was offline due to a cage failure. That cage has been put together. The motor's been put back on the pedestal and is back online. During the storm event recently, we've had a lot of brownouts due to the poles that were damaged in the backyards. As they were working on them for ComEd, we're on power. The well house, well 3, we lost basically some fuses on our air stripper building. We had to order those fuses. They were in as of today. We will start putting them back in tomorrow to make sure we don't have any other damage. Hopefully it's just the fuses due to the low power voltage. And the problem streetlights. We have some streetlights in town we're having issues with. As I described before, most of the problems we're having is in the wiring that we have in the ground. It's old wire. It's well over 20 to 40 years old. With the new streetlights, they're very sensitive to all this. We had a problem out in the Cornell section, roughly about 34 lights it takes care of. We ended up having to change the contactor. The contactor was the original mechanical contactor, and it was not connecting all the way. So once we changed it to an electronic contactor, all the lights came on, and for the 5 days in a row so far, no problems at all. So, cross my fingers. And we also have a complaint on the lights, 2 lights at the entrance of Lincoln Meadows. At this time, we don't have the ability to go out and do a fault locate right now on the wire. So what we did was he put shorty caps, it's just like an on switch, so the light will be on until we can get back to that location. And that is my report.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Kevin, at last week's committee meeting, we were talking about the fact that you were voluntold or volunteered, I'm not sure which it was, about coordinating the collection of all the department heads' lists for the capital items for the approximate $500,000 of everybody's wish lists of what they would like to have fixed or replaced or the funding for it, right? And I understood that as of last week, you had some but not all of the lists. Do you have everything collected yet, or do you still have outstanding lists?
My understanding for departments, each department was supposed to put together basically a wish list of their items, of specific items. With Public Works, we happen to deal with a lot of the buildings directly anyway. We budget for all the repairs for all that stuff anyway under normal maintenance. So I was putting together that stuff anyway, which is my normal budgetary stuff, but I went back about 7 to 10 years and looked at stuff we haven't been able to do, and I'm putting those back on the list again to see if it's possible to do it now. So the rest of the collections, the really definite wish list stuff will come to the department heads, and then the items that will cross everybody, I'll put those together. So if I need to be the collector of it all at the end, that's new to me, and I didn't know the number was 500,000, so I can kind of boost that number up now and buy some more stuff, but I'll work on that either way.
You made a mistake. It's not 500,000.
Well, so yes, about 3/4 done. I have the information. I actually have a meeting tomorrow with one of the companies that's going to give you some more quotes on a couple of the repairs for a couple of buildings, and pretty close to done there.
Okay, thank you.
Kevin, I'd just like to know, our residents the resident had asked about the hydrants. Are you able to give us, maybe at the next meeting, how many we are not working and how many have been repaired?
Yeah, as far as this year, yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Economic Development Director, Mr. Joseph White.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The village has issued 107 building permits for Q3 of 2018. This represents improvements to properties and homes within the village in the combined total of $578,863.01 and $9,436.65 in permit fees collected for the same period. Year to date, the village has issued 235 building permits representing improvements to properties and homes within the village in the combined totals of $1,544,017.04 and $24,055.59 in permit fees collected year to date. 137 applications for certificates of reoccupancy have been made during Q3 of 2018. We now have written procedures for staff with respect to the certificates of reoccupancy and how the process works. The village lacked these procedures prior to these. Also, there was no adequate logging of applications by village staff to track the progress of these applications. There is now. The Cook County Department of Transportation and Highways has issued their permit to gas and wash, and the village engineer, Jim Zarnik, signed off on their compliance. Consequently, the village issued a full building permit to gas and wash. I'll be working on an RFQ for the Invest in Cook grant for Phase 1 engineering for the logistic center. I will be presenting this to the village board for approval at an upcoming committee of the whole meeting. Additionally, I will be presenting the IGA, which is the intergovernmental agreement with Cook County, for acceptance of the Invest in Cook grant at the same meeting. The IGA is required to be approved by the village and Cook County board before the county will issue a notice to proceed to the village. As you know, the village received a grant for $350,000 for Phase 1 engineering from Cook County as part of the Invest in Cook and Lincoln Highway Logistic Corridor study. This concludes my report.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Ramona, I don't have a copy of that report from,
Mr. Rizzo, why the placement himself?
I don't have one.
It was in your packet at the guys.
So can I get a copy?
Here.
Are we starting with the date first?
Excuse me, trustee, you have a question for us?
Well, I want to ask a question since
I
it's
thought
getting
maybe you
late.
didn't say anything. I said you just.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Mayor, I have a question. Okay. Are we talking about the date from May 1st, 2018 to the present? Or are we talking about January 1st?
With respect to, like,
The amount of money that we received for the building permits and everything, is this from May 1st, 2018?
with respect to the year-to-date, that would be the calendar year-to-date.
Okay. So we could get reports for those that shows this amount of money that we received? Or will we get that from you?
Yeah, we'll get that information.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, reports of trustees, standing committees, and comments. Public Service Committee, trustee Bernice Brewer.
Mr. Mayor, since, I guess January of May of 2017 to today, I have been asking off and on for information for, so I can do the public service recommendation. And today, since we having so many problems with trying to get information from, this administration, I'm asking again, can I get some information needed in order to make an informed decision for infrastructure repair and replacement? I understand that you said you're here every day, but apparently it doesn't take a year and 10 months to get me any information. Robinson Engineer is apprehensive about providing me that information, and also Kevin. So I'm asking again and put it on the record so I can get that information and start working on something.
Trustee?
Yes.
Since May of 2017, you probably requested maybe 50 FOIAs.
Yep.
And I'm sure they've all been answered, so I don't know what it is more that you want. You just requested another FOIA the other day. So I don't understand what it is that you're not getting, because the FOIAs have been addressed, except for the latest one that you just put in. So I don't know if there's something else more that you need. I mean, the department heads are around. No, they're not around every minute. But if you ask for things, I'm sure you will get answers. And like I said, you've asked for, I don't know how many FOIA requests on different items. I don't know if they have anything to do with what your committee or not, but there was a lot of different stuff that you have a paper trail of, like I said, about 50 FOIA. So I don't know what more it is that you're looking for, but whatever it is, I don't know. So to say that you haven't gotten the answers, yes, you have. You've gotten the answers. You got the request, you got the paper. I even have the copies of the stuff that you got that you turned into the Attorney General stating that you didn't get this or whatever. So you have gotten your answers. Now, whether they are pertain to your committee, I'm not sure, because some of them I didn't understand myself, but they were answered. So I don't know if you saying that you haven't gotten answers is not true. You haven't gotten answers to every FOIA request except for the latest one that you turned in.
Information I requested pertains to infrastructure repair and replacement. I can't get that information via FOIA. I have to talk to Jim Cerniak, and you know this.
Jim?
We talking about what I need.
I know you said Jim who? I thought I asked who you talking about.
Oh, you know exactly what, we don't need to go through this today. Robinson Engineer, we need to get the information in order to make an informed decision. So you guys are trying to, oh, here we go with this crap again. Mr. Mayor, I would like some information on infrastructure repair. Yeah. On infrastructure repair, and I haven't given up the floor. So I'm asking for this stuff again, which I can't seem to get from you. You make every effort not to give me the information I need in order to make an informed decision. I need to sit down with Robinson Engineering and Public Works to find out how many square inches of pipes we have gotten or what needs to be done. Those things need to be answered. How many fire hydrants that need to be repaired? What about the water main breaks? We had a big water main breaks on 221st. What are we doing about that? Those answers I cannot ask through request, but through a for you. They cannot be answered through a for you. I have to sit down and talk to them, and you told me that it's gonna cost you a few bucks, and all I wanna do is have them come in an hour early and ask them, and direct me into what I need to look for. And so I'm asking that again, for that information. Can I go on with that particular item?
You supposed to say you have.
No, I have the floor. Second thing I want to talk about is that last week, I asked about the getting copies from the copy machine, and I talked to Gerald, and he indicated there's nothing wrong with the copy machine, that whoever's changing the code on it is doing it intentionally. So, I don't know why you find it funny.
Because he can't tell you that, that's not.
I have the floor, Mr. Mayor. I have the floor, Mr. Mayor.
I don't care about the floor.
I have the floor, Mr.
You making
Mayor.
a statement that's incorrect.
Ms. Village Clerk, would you please note that he's violating the Open Meetings Act? I'm talking, he's interrupting me on the floor.
Read Robert Rules of Order, read it.
You interrupted me on the floor. And you need to get some information to residents and also to myself. I need copies of the stuff on these information that I'm requesting. You guys, whoever is keeping me from doing my fiduciary duties, I can't get information from you or whoever's changing that code in the administrative code. I know you don't know. So I would ask you, whoever's doing it, to stop doing it. Because, you guys are messing with, government equipment, so, I have a right to use it. And I'd like to know why I can't use it, why is somebody changing the code on it all the time? It's getting a little ridiculous. That's the end of that comment.
Are you through? Budget and Financing, Trustee Roger Grant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Next Tuesday, I hope to present the board with the cybersecurity policy that my committees are working on. So hopefully we can get on the agenda for next Tuesday. And also next Wednesday will be another committee meeting here in the Rotunda at 7 p.m. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Housing and Governmental Relations Committee, Trustee Cecil Tate. Excuse me, Trustee. Why is that so funny to you, Trustee Brewer? I'm just asking.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, I said.
Are you finished?
I said, why is that so funny to you?
Mr. Mayor, I was clearing my throat, and, okay, now you're gonna tell me what I'm doing, so you need to keep.
Ordinance Review Committee, Trustee Linda Todd.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Are we all right now? Okay. The Ordinance Review Committee is going to meet November 5th, which is a Monday at 6:30 here at the Rotunda. And so we've decided that on the first Monday of the month at 6:30, that's when our meetings will be. And that ends my report.
Public Safety Committee, Trustee Bev Supine.
Oh, boy, yes. So I have a few things. First off, our next committee meeting will be Wednesday, November 7th, 6 p.m. here in the Rotunda. Secondly, sorry, there's a bit of confusion around trick or treat and Halloween. If you received your water bill recently, you'll notice it had the incorrect time, which conflicted with what we said at last week's committee meeting. Trick or treat is officially 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. on Wednesday, the 31st, not 3 to 6. So 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. We'll make sure that everything does show 4 to 7 going forward. I want to reiterate Fire Safety Week. Denny, when he was talking about it, was talking about the safety trailer and the open house this coming Saturday, the 14th. I just want to take a quick minute. I know there's not very many people here tonight, but if you haven't gone through their safety trailer, you really need to do so. Take the time to go through it, sit down, talk to the firemen. They did an awesome job with that thing with a very low budget. They did a lot of work, and they take that to the schools and sit down with the kids and teach them about fire prevention, how to escape, what to do if you find yourself in certain situations, how to react and respond when you find yourself in certain situations. And it's a really great kudos to them for what they did with a very low budget to really do a great thing for our community. With Ed and the team, Ed really led the group of them with turning that trailer into a really great piece of equipment for our community. So if you haven't had a chance to see that, please do so this Saturday from 10 to 1. The other thing I wanted to comment on as well was if you happen to notice on Facebook, I'm not on Facebook a ton myself, nor do I tend to talk about it much, but the Sauk Village e-News is one that our clerk puts posts out there. And you'll notice that she did put a post out there today that was one from our police chief regarding an armed robbery from the other day. And when I first saw it, I was like, uh-oh, was that something that she should have posted out there? And so I hurried up and picked up the phone and called the chief, and I was like, Chief, is this okay that this was out there? Because a lot of times he shares that kind of information with the board. And he said, no, that the two of them had talked and it was okay to post it. And I said, that was actually a great thing that he had said okay and that we had shared that information. And I had actually shared, and probably the clerk had the same conversation with him as well, to say going forward when these kinds of events happen, that we need to post them publicly with enough information so that the information is getting out there to the public so that everyone is aware what's transpired, when, enough particulars so that you are, in the know, but we're not giving too much information away. So, just be aware, you're going to see probably a little bit more of that as they happen. So, FYI about that. So if you're not already signed up for that, it's the Sauk Village e-News page on Facebook. And that one is run by Clerk Marva Campbell Pruitt. And that ends my report. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Community Outreach, Trustee Ronald Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and trustees. At this present time, I'm still attempting to develop a relationship with some athletic companies as far as making arrangements for used equipment that's safe equipment also. At this time, I have not received any correspondence. That's the end of my comment.
Thank you. Reports of committees and commissioners. Senior Advisory Council, Chairman Emmett Farmer.
Thank you, Mayor and trustees. Our next meeting for the Senior Advisory Council has been changed to October 18th, and all are welcome. Also, this Thursday, we're having a health fair for the seniors from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We should have plenty of vendors, include Gin Care, Oak Street, Silver Sneakers, U.S. Bank, Walgreens, Humana, ARP, and more. Please come out and spread the word to your seniors. I do have some flyers here on the table. Also, the seniors are walking every Monday through Friday in the park behind the village. Meet us there at 7 a.m. for 1 hour. Also, Medicare sales meetings start at the Senior Center on Monday, this coming Monday, October 15th, and will run through December 7th for annual enrollment period every Monday and Wednesday. Flyers will be posted for all dates and times. Please let the 65 and older seniors know. Game night is every first and third Friday. Please come out and invite the seniors for bid twists and other games. And also our first senior luncheon will be held on November 16th, and all seniors are invited. This will be a free event to the seniors. The lunch will be sponsored by Eastern Stars, and we're expecting a little early Thanksgiving dinner to be featured. And that's the end of our report.
Thank you. New business, I'll accept the motion to approve accounts payable disbursements dated October 9th in the amount of $254,571.95.
So moved.
Second.
It was moved by trustee Zupan, second by trustee Grant. Any questions?
Got a comment? Mr. Mayor, I'm asking for the following payments for 4 different individuals to be removed from the October 9th, 2018 accounts payable. There's 4 invoices from Dr. Strader, 2 of them in the amount of $1,483.25 and 2 in the amount of $850. Now, these payments have been an ongoing concern relating to how much the doctor is supposed to be paid per hour. Trustees, some of the trustees and myself have been asking, how much is the doctor going to be paid, should be paid for an hour? Because what we have is conflicting. So we asking that you look into this issue and give us some directions on how much she's supposed to be paid. Is it $17 per hour, or is she supposed to be paid $17.45 an hour? We just don't know. So we'd like some written guidance on that. Second thing I want to talk about is the to remove the salary for Judas Sutton. After some extensive research, I was unable to find any Illinois state statute or Southwest code that addressed the hiring of an interim director position for an indefinite term. However, there are policies on the books that address the employment and appointment of individuals. Neither the director's position nor the salary has been presented to the board for consideration, and then this is an issue that needs to be addressed. Currently, Ms. Sutton is working illegally in the capacity of director and making financial decisions with affect the South Village residents without approval from the board. The Illinois state statutes and South Village codes require that potential employees are presented to the board for approval. To date, no position or salary has been presented to the board for consideration. However, we have been advised that Ms. Sutton will be working indefinitely. I also ask that the payments for Piscal, Diller, O'Donnell, and Lapp be removed, because again, these attorneys have been working for the village and they have not been approved by the board. According to Illinois State Statute 65 ILCS 3-1-30, they have to be confirmed by the Board of Trustees. To date, the attorney has not been presented for the board for confirmation. Also, the last item I'd like to be removed is Kane McKinney for $726.25. I can't seem to find invoices for that. I wonder why Kane McKinney is getting out, well, this is only $756. I'd like to know what is she getting paid for, and I'd like a copy of the invoice that she's getting paid for. So I ask that these items be removed so we can get some additional information, get some attorneys in here to find out what's going on with Dr. Strada. Also, when are we going to appoint Ms. Sutton, and also when are we going to appoint the attorneys? They shouldn't be working for us unless they're approved by the board. None of these people have come to the board for anything, for approval, dismissal, whatever. So we need to take a look at that and get whoever needs to be approved by the board.
Any other questions?
No. Trustee Carter?
Yes.
Trustee Grant?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Motion to approve an ordinance amending Article 1 in general of Chapter 10 of the Animal Control of the Municipal Code of the Village of Sauk Village.
So moved. Second.
It was moved by trustee Todd, second by trustee Zupan. Any questions? Madam Clerk?
Trustee Todd?
Yes.
Trustee Zupan? Yes. Trustee Brewer? Yes. Trustee Carter?
Yes.
Trustee Grant?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Motion to approve ordinance amending Article 11, scavengers of Chapter 18, the business and business regulations of the municipal code of the Village of Sauk Village.
So moved. Second.
It was moved by trustee Todd, second by trustee Brewer. Any questions?
Trustee Zupan? Yes. Trustee Brewer? Yes. Trustee Carter?
Yes.
Trustee Grant?
Yes.
Trustee Tate? Yes. Trustee Todd?
Yes.
Motion is carried. I'd like to go into executive session in dealing with our item D. There's a few things that were brought to my attention, so I'd like to go into executive session for real estate.
So moved.
It was moved by trustee Zupan, second by trustee Carter. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Todd?
Yes.
Trustee Zupan? Yes. Trustee Brewer? Yes. Trustee Carter?
Yes.
Trustee Grant?
Yes.
Trustee Tate?
Motion carried. We'll recess. We'll be right back out.
She was good, so I my next week. It light comes on and I don't think we're repeating stuff. Yeah, that's us.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll. We will reconvene.
Trustee Brewer? Present. Trustee Carter?
Here.
Trustee Grant?
Here.
Trustee Tate? Here. Trustee Todd?
Here.
And Trustee Zupan? Here.
Okay. Item number D. We have the motion on here. I just want to explain that because we've never had a chance to really explain it. The board got this last week, and I happened to look it over. And basically what it is a disconnection. We're going to disconnect the property that's right there on Steger Road, south of Steger Road, west of 394, and east of 394. You find that west, east of 394. And it's basically, we're going to disconnect that and then let Crete annex that. That's something that's been going on for years, and we finally came and got this kind of ironed out. However, with that being said, there was a couple of things that we had asked to be put into this particular request that were not put in. So what we're going to do, and what the board is going to do, is as for these changes, and they had a chance, they looked at the request of disconnect, and they want the changes to be put in there, the verbiage and everything. First of all, there's a couple of things that are in the request in the actual ordinance, and it's on there for I-394, it should be Illinois 394. That needs to be rewritten. And then also, they have it in here, in the ordinance, and also this particular request to that creek would not go any further north of State Road, east of 394. That needs to be put in there. But that being said, though, I'll accept a motion to accept the agreement with those necessary corrections, which will be given to the board. A new resolution will be given to the board that will include that. But in all this particular request, we can go ahead and go forward with it. Unless there's any more questions.
I actually just want to make a comment first.
Go ahead.
Just because the public didn't get a chance to see this, and we've talked about this. This is the infamous footprint into Will County for Sauk Village. It's our only footprint into Will County, and this will eliminate that. It's the property north of Culver's, right? It's that corner, slightly less than 4 acres right there. And we will be receiving $70,000 for that, the annexation, if you will. The flip side is if we don't do this, we would have to make water available to whoever would purchase this land. And to do that would cost us in excess of $1 million, which would be really cost prohibitive. And if we didn't do that and someone purchased the property and we understand that there is someone interested in the property, they could take us to court and we could find ourselves in a costly legal battle in addition to having to supply water. So we kind of found ourselves in the position of it probably makes the most sense to really de-annex this and to let that go, if you will. So if nobody else has any other comments, I was going to go ahead and make the motion with those 2 corrections for us to, once we do receive those, the corrected ordinance, not resolution, this is an ordinance, that we pass this.
Motion's been made.
Second.
It was moved by trustee Zupan, second by trustee Todd.
Trustee Brewer? Yes. Trustee Carter?
Yes.
Trustee Grant?
Yes.
Trustee Tate? Trustee Todd?
Yes.
Trustee Zupan?
Yes.
Motion is carried. I'll accept the motion for adjournment. Moved by trustee Brewer, second by trustee Carter. All in favor?
Aye.